any of that area right there has value to it because you've got blood deposition there. Now you say, well, why is that important? Well, it's very important because you want to demonstrate, you want to retain that from an evidentiary standpoint you cannot go, people ask this question frequently when you have like a really bloody scene. They want to know if you can approximate the volume of blood that was spilled. You can't. That's an empirical impossibility, but you can demonstrate it visually. So that chair has specific value. Do you know why?
No.
Okay. Think about how we're sitting right now. Everybody at home, think about how you're sitting, okay? The elevation that you're talking about, the position of the body, of his body comes into play here, and that's significant because the platform on which that chair is positioned should have been assessed without him in it, in that position, or wherever they found it, because you can never, like, let's say the chair got kicked aside or kicked away.
It did.
You cannot go back and place it in the exact position. However, there's an accounting that has to take place with that specific chair, because even if that chair came off the line at the manufacturer with 100 other chairs, that chair is unique to itself. The measurement from the rear of the legs to the back here, and how does his body fit into that chair? What position is he in? Because, you know, we're talking here, one of the big questions here is trajectory, right? You know, we're talking about, is it a flat trajectory? Is it an elevated position? Whatever it is, that chair has significant value, and it can have evidence on it as well. Blood deposition, these sorts of, we don't know what's on the chair. You know, for all I know, I don't know where it is now. I have no idea. I don't know if it's been, you know, if you go to a university, I can go to my university and we've got stacks of chairs everywhere. They just take the chair and stack it back up. Or did the state police or whoever it was, did they collect that chair?
That's his chair.
Okay, well.
And his platform.
Yeah, and did they collect it and did they hold on to it, or did it go back into the rotation?
Or be thrown away.
Yeah. And that's a problem. So
who would that fall on? Would that fall on the police?
Oh, hell yeah.
The people actually examining the crime scene?
Yeah, once people are absent the scene, get your ass out of there. And I'm referring to any civilians that are around there, because if you're not part of the investigative team, you're a civilian, period, end of paragraph. All of that stuff should have been secured at that particular time. And this is not me Monday morning quarterbacking. Right. This is baseline stuff. This is like this is something that you would teach a freshman class in Forensic Science 101.
So what would it tell you if there was no chair and no platform and everything had been removed?
Well, it's going to tell me that any kind of measurements that you take where you're trying to pull trajectories, your data is potentially skewed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. I have coffee for you right there. You've got it. Look at that. He's on it, man. Come on. He just floats in and out.
My man.
That's it. So, all right. So, chair is a problem. Also, this is not an adjustable chair, as far as I can tell. It
looks like a wireframe kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a static chair. Imagine if they put that back in rotation. Jesus Christ, that would be insane.
I think it's more likely it was thrown away, but maybe the police have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
No, I hope they do. And all of the surface area there. Deep, is there any way you can? There's one. Yeah, hold it right there. If you can, if you don't mind, just freeze it right there.
Actually, we can put that on screen too, because there's no bullet right now. YouTube, there's no bullet, no blood, no anything. We're in concert. He's not pressing play on the video. Thank you.
Okay. So, do you see the forgive me, Baron, because I don't know, what's the composition of the surface that this thing is contained on? Is it a carpeted, indoor, outdoor kind of?
So it was a grass base, and then there was a platform, an elevated platform that was.
That's what I'm referring to right here. The surface of this platform. What is that made out of?
It was a plastic platform with I believe, a metal exterior around it, and then metal legs that went down.
Yeah, so all of that surface surrounding that chair, moving to his left, forward, any of that area right there has value to it because you've got blood deposition there. Now you say, well, why is that important? Well, it's very important because you want to demonstrate, you want to retain that from an evidentiary standpoint you could not go. People ask this question frequently when you have like a really bloody scene. They want to know if you can approximate the volume of blood that was spilled. You can't. That's an empirical impossibility, but you can demonstrate it visually to show where the deposition is. And this is not a sightseeing tour. This is something that you hold on to, and you want to hold on to everything. This is something significant. This is where a homicide, and we can all agree it's a homicide. This is where a homicide took place, all right? If it was on a carpeted surface in an apartment, I want that section of carpet.
Yeah.
I've gone into places where we've completely pulled up linoleum, all right? I know I have colleagues that have pulled up ceramic tile before and held on to it. It's a pretty significant piece of information here that you're retaining. And so that in and of itself is important, but also the structure of this platform along with the chair, the height of the platform, the underlying ground, the topography of it.
Well, they dug that up and paved over.
Right, yeah. And so, no, I'm just saying that.
I wasn't even going there yet. But
no,
we'll
no,
get
no,
there.
forgive me. But I'm just saying that in totality, when they started working the scene, they didn't have anybody hooked up on charges yet. Everything there has value to it.
Yeah.
Every single thing. I'm not saying that you go out and you need to keep the railing that's keeping everybody back. You don't want that, but I'll tell you, I want
the closest radius.
I want the top. Yeah. I want that canopy. I want to see this. I want to know if
what
there's
do you
blood.
Want to see there?
I want to know if there's blood deposition up there. I want to know if I've got anything above him.
Could that rule out, could all of that you just described rule out the explosive microphone theory or any of the other theories? Because, if you said the shirt, you might be able to test to rule out. Yeah. Well, what about the chair? What about the platform you're sitting on?
Perhaps.
What about the tent?
Yeah, I suppose that it could, because with an explosive event, you're going to have residue when an explosive event takes place, you know how I talked about the powder a little while ago, and it acts like talcum powder? Mm-hmm. It's a very violent event in the immediate, but you've got this particulate matter that kind of showers down on everything. It's because a lot of stuff it has no aerodynamic characteristics, or limited. Thank you very much. It has limited aerodynamic characteristics, and so gravity, it's just going to fall and it's going to settle. And so you want to test these areas. If you look at, even overseas when there's been explosive events, just with our troopers that have been, deployed all over the world, when they have teams that go out there and they do post-blast assessments relative to all this. You had it with Boston Marathon, all these things. You can go out and you can do these samplings of everything. Well, that's something that people are thinking about, and I don't know that they were thinking about this at the time. You could either rule it in, rule it out, certainly, but for my purposes, just from the deposition that appears to be gunshot related, I'm going to want to know about the impact, the surrounding area, how blood is deposited. I'm going to want to see that chair, his clothes, and not just the shirt. I'm going to see the pants as well, his shoes, his socks, anything that's on him.
So would it, and again, I asked this earlier, would it fall below the standard in your opinion if the chair, the platform, and all this isn't preserved and it was just cleaned off and thrown away or put back in rotation?
Yeah, way below the standard, yes.
And where would it be stored, just from a layman's perspective?
In an evidence room somewhere. And again, it all depends on who's processing.
So anything you identify as evidence, you don't think should have been turned back over to TPUSA to store?
Hell no.
Okay.
No. Are they an investigative agency? Do they have prosecutorial powers? Because we're talking about it. Again, let's all kind of come back. I'm not being smartest. I know. Let's all come back. Center mass here. It's a homicide investigation.
Right.
It should not be treated any differently than any other homicide investigation out there, period, end of paragraph.
Now, here's one thing about this, and we mentioned this earlier, but now you're really bringing into context when you talk about all the different pieces here and things you would have wanted in a perfect world preserved or not touched at the time. A lot of most homicides that occur, it's in a more secluded place, a lot of them, or at the very least, it's not in front of 2,000 people.
Yeah, you don't have an audience.
You don't have an audience like that. So in this case, you have a public event, a major speaker, chaos immediately ensuing. So naturally, there's going to be some things that are not treated perfectly well right away just because of the cascading effect of so many people there. That said, once his body, and I'll come back to that video with carrying to the truck thief in a little bit, but once his body is taken out of there and people begin to disperse a little bit and leave, let's start with the video that we have, Deef, of the camera guy removing the camera SD cards that were behind Charlie right here. Is this the kind of situation where there should be cops trained to be way closer to the perimeter, number one, and number two, not letting anyone get into a space like this?
In an ideal world, yeah. But if you're talking about campus police that are there that have limited manpower, I would imagine at this point, and Baron, correct me, please, if I'm wrong here. I'm assuming that there are no other law enforcement assets around this area other than campus police.
So not exactly. The guy in the blue shirt in the background, and there's another guy in a red hat that keep ducking in and out.
Yep.
Those are officers from other agencies.
Okay. So were this guy back there in the far back.
Right. Yeah. So for them, they understand at this point. Now I'm thinking about crowd control and all this stuff. Like your boy that just walked into frame there that's pouring water over the back of his neck or whatever the hell he was doing. He doesn't need to be in that space, period.
And I don't know whether he's law enforcement. I know for a fact the other two are.
This is 9 minutes later, by the way.
He doesn't need to be there, period.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't, nobody needs to be within that area because here's the thing about crime scenes, and we teach this over and over again. You can always set your perimeter up at a very distal point, all the way around, right? You can, first off, you can do that. And then you can contract it where you're bringing it back to center. However,
so get back.
As far, you want as many people away and you're going to cordon that entire area off. When you run into trouble is when you only focus on that. And you set your tape up or whatever it is, you create this boundary in that little area. Well, as an attorney, if I go back and I move that tape, guess what happens? You can say, well, this was not controlled out here.
That's right.
This has been contaminated, at this point in time. So you always start big and then you contract after that.
So even though they weren't UVU police, the fact that they're uniform, plainclothes officers carrying badges and guns, they know that this crime scene should be sort of sacrosanct in this moment.
Yeah, I teach at the State Police Academy in Alabama. That's basic training for academy graduates that if they're post-certified police officers in the state of Utah, which I'm assuming they are, they know that that's a critical area right there. You don't want to let anybody into that area specifically.
But even though he's an employee?
Those people up on that amphitheater area.
In the back. And I'm just throwing this out there just for consideration, in an ideal world. And again, giving them a little bit of grace because they ain't got a lot of manpower, all right? I think that we can all acknowledge that, okay? Because there's some things that are just, it's not possible to facilitate. However, the stands up there, you see, I don't care if you left your book bag, your phone, whatever it is, you ain't getting back in there, period. Because I don't know what value any of that stuff, nobody knows what value it has at that critical moment in time.
Right.
You're pushing everybody back, you're locking it down, and you're going to keep it locked down.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.